here we are again. It's time for another Enough Already podcast. My name is Fingers Malloy. She is Tracy L. Connors. Tracy, we got to welcome not only our listeners here in the United States, in towns like San Francisco, Sterling Heights, Michigan, and Louisville, Kentucky. You say Louisville or Louisville?
Louisville.
You say Louisville?
Yes.
I'm told it's...
What would you call it, a Louisville slugger?
I'm told. I've been there twice. And I was told it's Louisville. Louisville.
Okay.
But our international listeners, Tracy.
Oh?
In countries like Poland.
Nice.
Of course, the United Kingdom. Good friends of ours over there in the United Kingdom. And I could go on and on with the countries that listen overseas there, but thank you to all of you who listen to the Enough Already podcast. And if you like the show, head on over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review, please. Tracy, shouldn't they leave us a 5-star review?
We would greatly appreciate that. After the hours of entertainment we provided you, asking for 30 seconds of your time doesn't seem like too tall of an order.
No. I'm really cranky.
Oh, what? Is this a new thing?
Well, as you know, like 3 weeks ago, I went on the Atkins diet.
Mm-hmm. For the 160th time?
Yeah, and I was doing really well, and I lost 10 pounds in a week.
Okay.
But then those bastards at McDonald's came out with the Grand Mac. Have you seen the Grand Mac?
No, I'm not. I don't keep up with fast food trends.
Well, my big bitch with McDonald's for a long time, the Big Mac may be the perfect fast food sandwich. Mm-hmm. But the patties are too small. Like, you'll take 2 bites of a Big Mac, and then there's no meat. It's, like, in the corner of the bun because the patty's only, like, 3 inches wide. Mm-hmm. So, apparently, I'm not the only fat ass that's been complaining to McDonald's about how the patties are too small in the Big Mac. So they came out with a Grand Mac. Mm-hmm. The patties are, like, double the size.
And you just had to have it.
Hallelujah. Well, not only did McDonald's release that, those bastards, but the Shamrock Shake is out now.
Already?
Yes. And they've improved the Shamrock Shake.
They add booze?
No, they didn't add booze. I mean, that would be the perfect fast food drink.
Yes.
A spiked Shamrock Shake. No, but they've... You know, the shakes at McDonald's for a while now, they add the whipped cream and the cherry on top. And then they do some sort of, like, crunchy powdered sugar that they put on top of the whipped cream.
Oh.
And it's like they made these decisions to do this just based on the fact that I started the Atkins diet.
I'm sure.
So I went for a week there, lost 10 pounds, I'm cruising. I need to lose about 50, if I'm being honest with myself. I would love to lose 30, but if I lose, I really need to lose 50. So
in addition to the 10, or is the 10
50
counted
total. So I only needed to, get 40 more out of the way, and I lost 10 in a week. Holy crap.
Yeah.
The Atkins diet, for a guy, is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I've talked to women that, aren't so fond of it.
Yes.
So I went on for a good week, 9 days, I ate every carb in sight. I was going to McDonald's twice to get the Grand Mac, then going to Little Caesars and getting, they got this lunch combo, Tracy. It's a personal pan pizza. It's 4 slices, and it probably has, 2,000 calories. That's what I'm guessing. So I gained 5 back.
Okay.
In that 9 days. And then I'm like, oh, you're a disgusting pig. Clearly you hate yourself. Mm-hmm. stop that. So I went back on the Atkins diet again. And as of Sunday, I'm down total. I was down 10. I gained 5 back. I'm down 8. I was down 8 pounds Sunday. And I've been continuing to do. I've been completely. I'm strict about it now. So there's no carbs at all, 0. And I can feel. I told myself I'm not going to step on a scale until Saturday or Sunday, because you've talked about you've struggled with your weight at times, and there's nothing worse when you're trying to lose weight. Nothing can sabotage you more than stepping on the scale every day, living and dying by the scale. You think you had a good day, you think you had a good couple days, you get on the scale, you don't lose any weight, you're like, crap, time to go to McDonald's. I need a Shamrock Shake. And take a flask with me to spike it. So I'm cranky because I haven't had any carbs. Like today I got up and I ate 3 scrambled eggs and a brat for breakfast. And then for lunch I had 13 wings that were buffalo style, but they're naked, so they aren't breaded. So they're next to no carbs in that. And then I've had sugar-free Jell-O. No one should be eating like this, Tracy. This isn't human. It's terrible.
Well, no one should eat the McDonald's and Little Caesars every day either.
Are you saying there should be a happy medium? I should only eat there like 5 times a week?
A year, maybe.
Oh, good God. When's the last time do they have Little Caesars pizza in Philadelphia?
I believe so.
Have you had Little Caesars pizza?
Not in the last decade.
Oh. It's fantastic.
Okay.
I mean, it's really not good.
Sure.
But it's $5. You walk in, you walk out, you've got a large pizza with pepperoni. I mean, I've never understood the people in New York. They act like on the 3rd day, Jesus rose and opened up a pizzeria in Long Island, Mm-hmm. The pizza's not that good.
Mm-mm.
It's bread, cheese, and sauce.
Yes.
It's hard to make that absolutely fantastic, and it's hard to screw that up. It's just there. Right?
I don't know. Back in the day when I was a fat kid, I used to eat a lot of pizza. And there's definitely a difference between good pizza and bad pizza.
But not to the point where those are fighting words. Like, people get into arguments over Chicago-style pizza versus New York-style pizza.
Yeah. No, that's not something I'm entertaining at any point in time. A pizza argument.
Yeah. So how are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're not cranky?
No.
No?
Nothing to be cranky about.
Not even what's going on in Washington right now? You're not fired up
No.
over the shit show?
No, it's entertaining.
Well, what do you want to talk about first? I find this story very intriguing.
Okay.
The women that were walking around in their vagina hats.
Yes.
Who also stopped and probably got themselves a Grand Mac or 2 on the way to the march.
Yes, if they eat meat.
That's true. Some of them are fatty Fattersons, and then others they haven't seen any meat in 15 years.
That just reminds me, did you see the meme that had a picture of the Women's March, and it said something along the lines of Donald Trump did more in 1 day to get fat people exercising than Michelle Obama did in 8 years?
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh.
But now they're going back to their fat, lazy ways and staying home from work.
Yeah. And apparently, I'd heard this come up a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't know if they actually named a day. But the women who were behind this strike, this new movement that made women dress like vaginas and walk in D.C. Now they're going to go on strike for a day?
Yes. It's called A Day Without Women, Fingers.
Okay.
And they picked this day. This is how creative these people are, because it's also International Women's Day.
Sounds wonderful, by the way, but go ahead.
I really wonder how many of them actually have jobs.
Right.
They're not going to, and how they're going to prove that they struck.
Is this the whole thing where it's not just these women are not going to go to work? It's, we aren't going to do anything at home either, and we aren't going to have sex with our boyfriends or husbands, and we're just going to sit in a chair and contemplate our womanhood. Is that what this is?
It's hard to tell. It's such a mishmash of lefty gobbledygook, what this is all about. So they want to strive for gender equality and support policies and leaders that this is the question that they asked on their social media post about this. So it's, do businesses support our communities, or do they drain our communities? So this is all communist crap. Do they strive for gender equality, or do they support the policies and leaders that perpetuate oppression? Do they align with a sustainable environment, or do they profit off of destruction and steal the futures of our children? We saw what happened when millions of us stood together in January, and now we know that our army of love greatly outnumbers the army of fear, greed, and hatred. On March 8th, International Women's Day, let's unite in our communities for a day without women. And then it's just like, we'll provide you more information. Sign up for our newsletter. Probably send us money.
March 8th?
Yes, which is a Wednesday.
Crap,
which is so lame.
Dentist appointment that day. I wonder if that means my hygienist won't show up.
Oh, please.
Oh, okay, I'll be the one to say it. Because who gives a shit? This sounds wonderful. I mean, a day without women? I mean, I don't want a life without women. Don't get me wrong. That'd be awful. But a day? I mean, what does this mean for us fellas? What does this mean? Does this mean we're off to be able to do whatever the hell we want to do when we want to do it?
No, I think it means you have to work doubly as hard.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Actually earn that extra whatever amount they're saying you get now.
Oh, wow.
I think they've moved the goalposts on that, so it's only 23 cents instead of 27 cents. That you make more than I do.
I just am looking forward to seeing what this is supposed to accomplish. What if they aren't missed? Doesn't that pose a problem for your movement if there's a general strike? It's like that episode of South Park where they were in the band Moop. They formed a rock band and they went on strike, and Moop refused to play. Does anybody give a shit that Moop refused to play?
Well, no, and you have to imagine the personalities of the people that are going to be participating in this.
Right. I mean, are you going to have 80,000 women's studies majors deciding that they're going to take the day off?
Starbucks?
Yeah, I guess you're going to have to make your own coffee.
Yeah, I don't anticipate this getting a big turnout. I mean, I'm sure you'll see a lot of social media posting about it, but that'll probably be the end of it. I just think they need to keep them doing things to keep people interested in the cause and the movement.
I mean, what am I going to do if Lena Dunham decides not to do anything that day?
It wouldn't be any different than any other day.
My life will be ruined if the latest episode of, what's the name of that show?
Girls. But it's already finished. They shot their final season, so she doesn't have anything to do anyway.
Oh.
I mean, maybe she won't write on her blog that day or something.
She won't be
won't post to social media. Yeah. Oh, she does that on Instagram.
Oh.
Yes. Well, did you see, too, that she's now said that she's lost weight?
Yes.
Because of Trump?
Yeah, I saw a picture of her the other day. I was like, oh, she's almost attractive in a non-attractive way. I mean, and then I looked and see it was because, she's on the Donald Trump diet.
Yes. It gets so sad that you can't even eat.
That's what happened to me, Tracy.
Yes.
When Barack Obama became president of the United States, I just let myself go. Just decided to eat everything in sight because of the president of the United States. These people are nuts.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
And they just keep upping the ante with the crazy.
Yeah, what a fun group that must be. I mean, here you are. I don't know much about this Lena Dunham broad. Mm-hmm. I'm, guessing she's single or has some sort of life partner. And
no, she's a longtime boyfriend.
Okay, longtime boyfriend. Do they have kids?
No.
So, I'm guessing she lives in New York?
I think that's where she is.
Okay, so you're in New York. You've got a boyfriend. You've got, I'm guessing, a lot of money.
Yep.
And you've got a bunch of friends. And all you're doing is sitting around in your apartments, not eating because the person that you wanted to be president of the United States isn't president of the United States.
And you're famous for being the fat girl that was so brave as to get naked on camera every week. You can't pull it together.
Oh my gosh, we need to start sending her food.
You want to send her your new, what's it called? The Grand Mac?
The Grand Mac.
Yeah. Send the Grand Macs to Lena Dunham. That'll be our action call for this week.
Yeah. Can we get an address for her? And we'll send her, this will make her happy. We'll send her Papa John's pizzas.
There you go.
Just start sending her pizzas and, what do single women eat? I don't know. What do they eat, Tracy? I have no idea. When they're down and when you Haagen-Dazs, can I pull out all the cliches?
Yeah, all the cliches. Mm-hmm. Chocolate.
So, yeah, bonbons.
Mm-hmm.
Can you get bonbons at a store?
I would imagine. Those. No. I think they have them. I'll look next time I go.
Oh, this is what we should do. We should start a movement. March 8th. Make Lena fat again.
We can get to work on this for real. I'll get a graphic. It's a good cause.
Should we?
We need brave women that are willing to be fat and naked.
That's right. It's too bad that whole girls show isn't on anymore because we could send the food to wherever
The set.
Yeah, being shot.
Yeah. No, we'll find her address or her agent's address or something. Some way that it will get to her eventually. And we're doing this because we care.
Yes. I actually do. I don't want to see her waste away.
Oh.
It'd be terrible. We'll send her cans of the whipped cream and everything fattening you can think of. I don't want her doing whippets, though.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just send her heavy cream and sugar, and she can make her own.
Oh, that heavy whipping cream?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh. That is so great if you're on Atkins. I mean, I'm putting that, I got that advice from you. Put it in some diet root beer. It's like a root beer float.
It's Put amazing.
A little bourbon in there, too.
Mm-hmm.
You got yourself an evening right there.
Oh, God.
Okay, so they're going on strike March 8th.
Yes, so mark your calendars.
Will there be, are they meeting somewhere to show that they're on strike? You know, is there going to be some sort of, we're going to have a picket line with a bunch of women wearing vagina hats? What are they saying?
There's nothing in their Instagram post, which is where this was announced, about that. I think it's just sit on your couch. I mean, it would have been smarter to do it on a Friday so they could have gotten a 3-day weekend out of it, or a Monday. But no, they're just going to do International Women's Day.
Are we sure that this isn't just a group of people that are punking these women?
No.
This whole thing's a scam.
I wish we would have thought of that.
Right? Okay.
Well, they are saying, like, get together with your neighbors and brainstorm ideas. So. This
just sounds like an idea or a way for a bunch of people to get together to smoke pot.
It's possible.
I mean, I just see this group coming together and passing a joint around saying, oh, you know what we should do? We should go on strike.
Yeah, that'll show them.
Oh, we should do it on International Women's Day.
That's a good idea. We're already planning big celebrations for that day anyway.
Growing up, and I don't know how, is International Women's Day like Sweetest Day, where people just started celebrating this like 15 years ago? I mean, I remember, I'm older than you, and they just started when I was in school trying to cram Earth Day down our throats.
Yes.
So, when was International Women's Day founded? This can't be very old.
I wouldn't imagine. It's such a silly concept. And then you'll hear them bitch, but we only get one day. Well, then don't recognize it, you silly people. Let's see.
Oh, listen to this. International Women's Day, originally called International Working Women's Day, is celebrated on March 8th every year. In different regions, the focus of the celebrations ranges from general celebration of respect, appreciation, and love towards women for their economic, political, and social achievements. An effective Women's Day was the 1975 Icelandic women's strike, which paved the way for the first female president in the world.
Great. The earliest celebration was held, and get this, as a socialist political event in 1909 in New York City. Declared a national holiday in the Soviet Union in 1917.
Wow.
So there you go. Of course, I told you these are a bunch of commies, and half of them don't even know it. God, what a bunch of suckers.
Well, they're making communism great again.
Yeah, well, here's an actual resistance thing that I think I said if you want to, this was maybe a week or two ago, or a podcast or two ago, if they actually want to resist, the best thing to do is not pay your taxes.
Oh, they're going to do that now?
Yes, they are. So this was, The Guardian had this article, "We will not pay the Americans withholding their taxes to fight Trump." Doom, doom, doom.
Yes, I'm all for this.
Yes, exactly. But I love this guy. Andrew Newman is quoted in this. So they went and talked to random people, of course. Like, this is not a big movement yet.
Right.
But maybe the women's will get on this on their day off. They'll look at this. So Andrew Newman, and I can't figure out what the hell he does. But anyway, he says, quote, "My tax money will be going towards putting up a wall on the Mexican border instead of helping sick people. It will contribute to the destruction of the environment and maybe more nuclear weapons. I think there will be a redistribution of wealth from the middle class to the wealthy elite, and Trump's campaign for the working man and woman was an absolute fraud. If you pay taxes, you're implicated in the system." Oh, I'm sorry. He's an associate professor, of course.
Of English. Oh.
Yes. So he continues.
Where is he teaching?
University of New York. State University of New York.
Oh, okay.
Stony Brook U. So he continues, "The government wants our money, and if a lot of people were thinking about this kind of peaceful protest, it would get their attention." Yeah, I'm all for it. Get millions of you guys to quit paying your taxes. I will applaud you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody should have to pay taxes. But if you want to effectively resist, that's the only way to do it. But so it goes on and on and on and gives you like some history. Like Henry David Thoreau didn't pay taxes because he didn't want to fund slavery. So he went to jail over that. And there was a tax resistance during the Vietnam War, which I didn't know about, where people underpaid their taxes by like 10% because I guess they figured that was the military budget they weren't funding, as if this money's fungible. So later on they say Gloria Steinem is going to be joining this protest. And this is her stupid ass to say, in 1968, we refused to pay the 10% of our federal income tax dollars that funded the war in Vietnam, and included a letter to the IRS saying so. See, that's how you really tell big government to F off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's 90% of what I owe you. I'm holding back 10% because you guys are making me angry. So she says in February, before tax time, at March 15th, 500 of us or so listed our names in ads that we published in the New York Times. Ugh. Yes.
Wow.
Such heroes. So she says this year, this is what she's going to do. I'm going to do this again by sending what I think should go to Planned Parenthood and deducting it from my federal IRS return and including a letter saying so. Though it's smaller sum than Vietnam, we won't just be keeping it or using some to pay for expensive New York Times ads. And we can add whatever each of us is able to in order to support Planned Parenthood. So I don't understand. She's not going to send them a portion, and she's going to send some to Planned Parenthood, which is still being funded in this budget year as far as we know. But she's so brave.
I'm really getting sick of... I'm trying to look up right now, and I'm doing a poor job of doing it. Trying to find the amount of money that Planned Parenthood received last year in federal funding.
I want to say it's $500 million, maybe.
Was it that much?
3? I know it's multiples of multiple hundreds.
Well, we'll just say it's 300 million for shits and giggles.
Okay.
I just found it. You're right. It's 500 million.
500 million. Uh-huh.
Okay. How many million people voted for Hillary Clinton?
65, I think, is the final, maybe. They could still be counting in California.
So I've got a proposition to all those people who are strong Hillary Clinton supporters and they voted for Hillary because they want Planned Parenthood funding. Why don't you start a GoFundMe for all Hillary Clinton supporters to kick in $7? Everyone who voted for Hillary Clinton, you'll raise more money if everyone for Hillary Clinton donated $7 to Planned Parenthood than what the federal government was going to provide them.
It's unbelievable, but it's so disgusting that that's all they care about. They're offended that we might put up a wall and we're going to keep out certain people for a little while until we can improve the vetting process. But God forbid they slow down on baby slaughter for a minute. Like, that doesn't offend their sensibilities.
No. And as disgusting as I find that, and I do find it disgusting, I find it even more disgusting that once again we're seeing Republicans trying to back away from the wall, back away from Obamacare, repeal, and replace. You know, I was thinking about this on the way home because I heard, as I was walking out of work, someone discussing the whole immigration issue, and I thought to myself, you know, here we have been, you know, I considered myself a Republican for a long time. And one of the things that Republicans used to stand for, and they still claim to stand for this, is the rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
We respect the rule of law. We are a country of laws. Except for immigration laws. Because, you know, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce wants cheap labor, and we're afraid that we'll look like big meanies to the Latino voters out there if we are for strict enforcement.
Because they're the only ones that illegally immigrate.
Right.
Which is such a joke.
Which is why we should have had a presidential nominee in the Republican Party that could speak Spanish.
Por supuesto.
It just floors me that this party for decades would talk about the rule of law and get a bunch of people on their side and one of the basic tenets of the Republican Party, the rule of law, and then when people are saying, okay, the rule of law when it comes to immigration, they turn to these people and go, oh, you're just a bunch of bigots.
Mm-hmm. We can't possibly do that.
I mean, I just keep going back to when I moved out of my parents' house and, you know, tried to make it on my own. I was a front desk clerk at a crappy hotel while I was going to college. I was making $4.35 an hour. Had a crappy apartment in an attic of someone's house. They converted it into an apartment. It was hot as hell. My shower was in the goddamn hallway, Tracy, of the hotel or of the apartment. It's like you walk from the dining or the living room into the bedroom, and in that hallway there was a shower curtain. I probably told the story like 10 times, but it just floors me. that I would, I paid for this apartment on my crappy wages, and I would, eat eggs and mac and cheese and ramen noodles. I want to look at these people and say, what laws should I have been able to break back then?
Mm-hmm.
What am I allowed to break? Well, you're not. You can't break the law. Oh, well, why not?
No.
Why am I not allowed to break the law?
Just start pretending you're an illegal. Well, that won't work anymore because they're actually rounding them up.
Starting to, but even then, and then you're seeing people protest that, even if these people have committed felonies. You got a bunch of crackpots.
Which is unbelievable.
Yes. How can you possibly protest the federal government rounding up illegals that have committed felonies and say, get the hell out of here?
Yeah, you got to go. We never asked you to come, and now it's time to leave.
Yeah. You broke the law coming in. You broke more laws while you're here. It's time to leave.
Well, you're going to break up their family.
What are the odds that someone who came here illegally and is a felon, what are the odds that their children are going to just grow up and not be felons?
So you're saying we should just send the whole family back so they stay together?
Absolutely.
I agree. What's such a ridiculous argument? What happens when people go to prison? Do we not break up families?
Well, that's different.
Oh, really? Because they're citizens?
Well, that's the argument.
Yeah.
That's the argument. Well, sure, you can point out illegals that have come into this country and raped and killed, but we have rapists and killers in this country. It's like,
yeah, we have enough.
Yeah, right.
We don't need to import new ones.
I don't remember NAFTA including the whole rapist and murderers. But is that somewhere in the back? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they come in duty free. There will be no tariff raised on rapists and murderers and drunk drivers.
Look, I do have a soft spot for kids that have come in here dragged by their parents into this country illegally. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm a cold-hearted bastard, but you come into this country illegally, you broke the law, and then you're committing felonies?
Mm-hmm.
You need to go. Why is this an argument?
It's like someone just walks into your house and starts breaking shit and then refuses to leave.
Right.
And then they burn it down.
And you didn't invite them.
Correct. She's like, I'm just going to sit on this couch here. Can you get me a beer, please?
How pissed off would you be if some asshole, say Lena Dunham, okay, she's hallucinating because she hasn't had anything to eat in 3 weeks. She decides to break down your door, start breaking shit, setting shit on fire, and you're trying to get her out of your house. How pissed off would you be if a bunch of people showed up and they were pissed off at you because you wanted to kick her out of your house?
Well, I mean, that's not that outside of the realm of possibilities, actually. Getting rid of people that are squatting is insanely difficult, which is outrageous.
You see that a lot with families. There's one member of a family that will say, oh, you know what, I lost my job. Can I just crash on your couch for a week? 6 years later, they're still there.
Yeah, but that's a little bit different than some strangers.
Yeah, I know.
No, I know people that are property owners and have rented out, and then the person stops paying the rent, and you say, okay, we're evicting you. Nope, I'm not going. I have rights. And depending on what state, they could be correct. So that's insane. I mean, the idea that we have property rights is pretty laughable.
It is. It kind of going off topic here a little bit, but there's a bill that I believe was introduced in Virginia that's pushing back against Airbnb.
Oh?
Yeah, you don't own your home. Apparently to some people.
Well, you don't.
Yeah.
But you don't.
You don't.
You never stop paying property taxes.
No.
So you might own your house, but you don't own the land underneath.
Well, now you're having, you're seeing this, and you're seeing this in Indiana, too, where Airbnb must really be taking a dent or putting a dent in the business of the hotels and motels, because now you're seeing random politicians stepping up and saying, well, if you really want to rent out your house, you need to jump through all of these hoops and pay.
Well, and they also started assessing the occupancy taxes on it. I was looking at it recently. They didn't used to do that on Airbnb. There was, that's what they do with hotels. Like if you get a hotel room in New York, it's, I don't know, $150 to $300 a night plus an occupancy tax. And Airbnb wasn't charging that initially. So they were able to undercut everybody and just be like, yeah, you can have my room for $100 instead of the room at the hotel for 100 plus whatever. It's ridiculous in New York. I can't remember what percentage it is, but it's outrageous. And I was looking on Airbnb recently, and all of a sudden I'm seeing, okay, this is how much it costs, right? So rent this place for a week for $500, and you go, oh, okay, let me see what's available. And then it's like, no, it's actually going to be $900.
Right.
Because of the occupancy fees. So they're getting taxes out of it now.
And you're paying other things too, but
sure.
I'm actually next week at CPAC. This is my first time using Airbnb. Mm-hmm. The hotel for CPAC is ridiculously expensive.
Of course.
The Gaylord. It's a very nice hotel. It's got kind of a Vegas feel to it, but no way in hell is it worth $330 a night.
No.
And then, the hotels around there the prices have skyrocketed, and I'm guessing it's only because of the MGM Grand Casino that just opened up nearby, and nobody wants to spend, for people that want to go to the casino but don't want to spend $400 a night at the MGM Grand, they can, a half a mile down the road, go to the Westin or the Residence Inn where, I used to love to stay. And I know you've stayed there before too, because they got a full kitchen. These rooms for CPAC, they want $300-400 a night, which is insane. I found an Airbnb. I got a 1-bedroom condo for $157 a night.
Damn. No occupancy fee on it?
I have to go back and check. I know there was a cleaning fee.
Sure.
But
That's reasonable. But the taxes, it could be a state by state thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing, local governments. There's a town just outside of Indianapolis, Carmel, Indiana, and they're pushing back against Airbnb. And I believe and I may be off base here, but I believe I saw where one of these municipalities or one of these states that are trying to have some sort of regulation regarding Airbnb wanted to require a liquor license.
Oh my God.
It's absolutely insane. Somebody got from the hospitality industry, got into this person's ear.
Of course. Well, they're losing tax money.
Yeah.
So they've got to find it somehow. So they're just going to drive this into the ground. They've been after Uber too. Because the taxi cab union cannot lose its monopoly.
That's right. I'm looking up right now. So here, the breakdown. I said it was like $157 a night, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And of course now I click on the link, and it's taking forever to open. I guess that's what it must be on strike. Oh, I gotta log in. What kind of bullshit is that?
Oh, forget it.
Ah, the hell with it. That
you can update us later.
Yeah. How did we get on this? I'm sorry. I veered us off course. Because you mentioned...
I don't know. Like, we're talking about immigration, and all of a sudden we're at Airbnb throwing people out. Squatters.
Yeah, squatters.
There's some new bill.
A new bill regarding squatters?
You got to a bill from our squatters conversation.
Oh, that was about not really owning your property.
Correct.
You don't have property rights.
So what was the bill?
That's what it was. That's what got me to think about how you don't have property rights, because states are trying to make it to where you cannot rent out a room in your house. I mean, how many movies did we see when we were growing up talking about, there would be some guy coming into town and he'd be walking down the street and there would be a sign on someone's house saying room for rent.
Yeah, there used to be boarding houses.
Yeah, this isn't a new concept.
No. Ever since people have had houses, rooms have been rented out. It's all about capturing as much money as they can.
Sickening.
Yeah. It's vile. I mean, property taxes are disgusting too. You never own it.
You can have your home taken away from you if you don't pay your property taxes.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen, people who have these family homes that have been in their family for generations. Mm-hmm. And then suddenly there's a run on property in that area, and the property value of that home that property increases dramatically, and so do the taxes. And then all of a sudden these people are taxed out of their homes. They got to sell.
Yeah, they go get a reassessment on your property, and then they tax you on the reassessment. And you can fight the assessments, but that's a pain in the ass.
And I can't believe how many people are fine with that. Well, just sell your house. Oh, really?
And then go buy another house? I mean, what? Just live in an apartment where that's built into your rent?
Yeah, you've got people. The idea that you could have a home that, say, your great-great-grandfather built.
Uh-huh.
And it's on this beautiful piece of property, and then all of a sudden a bunch of people decide, oh, this is a beautiful area, we should build. And then all of a sudden your home, increases in value 20-fold, and then they want to raise your taxes and you can't afford it anymore. I can't believe that there would be people out there saying, well, just sell your house. Oh, okay, sell my family home that my great-grandfather built.
Yeah, suck it up. That's not outrageous. That's not a scandal that you don't actually own your property, that you're basically just renting it from the state, but we'll call it a property tax. It's crazy. And I'm out in California now, as you know, but now our listeners do too. And I was hearing about property taxes today in a neighborhood that I was walking around in, and you're talking $50,000 to $70,000 a year in property taxes on some of these places. Ugh. And these aren't mansions. This is a regular, maybe 3,000 square foot house. I mean, it's in a beautiful location. But my God, and that's just the property taxes.
Yeah, I mean, that made me think of a story about that Tesla factory. Mm-hmm. That's in Fremont, California. Uh-huh. Which I believe are you familiar with Fremont, California? Isn't that in Silicon Valley?
I have no idea, but I'll go with that.
Well, anyway, California, there was a story out this week that the UAW was, or there was an employee at the Tesla factory that was trying to get some of his fellow employees to help him court the United Auto Workers to unionize to the Tesla factory.
Oh, God.
Which, would be a disaster. But, they were saying in the story that the people at the Tesla factory, I believe, made somewhere between $17 and $22 an hour. Which, that's a great wage if you're living in Kansas.
Yeah.
But $17 an hour in that area of the country really isn't a lot of money. I don't know how, you see these shows on Home and Garden and stuff like that, pick this house, and they have 3 options. And you'll see these houses, and it's in California, it'd be like 1,500 square feet, and they want $750,000. Mm-hmm. It's like, Jesus Christ.
I saw a trailer park today that's right on the beach. Mm-hmm. It, like PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah.
Separates it from the beach. But I was told that those are probably $400,000.
Oh,
trailers.
My God. I mean, what do people do out there?
I don't know.
What do you have, like a 100-year mortgage?
Yeah, I don't know. And I can't imagine you're probably not assessed that much on property taxes for a trailer, but my God, it's like a $400,000 trailer. Why does anybody live here? This place is crazy.
I mean, there are other beautiful places in the country. I know it's beautiful out there.
Sure.
I mean, I've been to San Diego once. It's my only California experience. But I thought to myself, oh, God, I'd love to live here. But Christ, it's incredibly expensive.
And then you have to give up, however, they have, I think, if I remember correctly, 9 tax brackets, but it might be 13.
And then you'd have to have Jerry Brown as your governor.
I know.
I mean, you talk about batshit crazy. These people that are, running to D.C. and putting vagina hats on because of Trump, but probably admire a Jerry Brown presidency. It's like, are people out of your mind? Are they still building that expensive choo-choo train out there?
I believe so. Just throwing money out windows and finding new ways to confiscate more of it. But that reminds me, buried at the bottom of that Guardian article about the lefties that aren't going to pay their taxes, there was this wonderful little paragraph. Meanwhile, there's talk in California of the state becoming an organized non-payer of its dues to the federal government and urging non-compliance with the federal tax code if Trump cuts off federal funding to its sanctuary cities.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're going to encourage all the residents of California not to pay federal income taxes. This could get really silly.
Over sanctuary cities.
Yes. We must keep our illegals safe. Because, they're a really good source of revenue, apparently.
I would love to know. I would love to see polling data in California outside of San Francisco, Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm. And maybe San Diego.
Yeah, and maybe San Diego, but San Diego's kind of conservative.
Yeah.
Support for sanctuary cities.
Oh, I bet it's in the toilet. I mean, if you look at the electoral map where they break down the counties, California is almost evenly split red and blue.
Yeah.
I think there actually might be more red counties. So
I can't imagine there are too many blue counties in California that would go all in for not jumping on board with this idea that they aren't going to pay their taxes because of sanctuary city funding.
No, I would love to see the red staters that live in blue California refuse to pay their state income taxes over this nonsense.
We have so many friends in California that are conservative or libertarian. I just don't know how they do it. I couldn't live in that state. I get that it's beautiful, and of course, if you're there and you've been there for a long time, you have family and you don't want to leave, but Jesus, there's only so much of that crap you can take.
I guess.
And the bad part is, you've had this exodus of people leaving, and they're moving to states like Texas, Colorado,
and taking their ways with them.
Yeah, like, oh man, we left California because the cost of living's too high, the taxes are too high, so I've moved to Texas. I gotta vote for a Democrat. Okay. Maybe you should think about why taxes are so high in California before you decide to go screw up another state.
No, that's what they do. They don't get it.
I've heard Connecticut people talk about that too, and New Hampshire people. People from Massachusetts leaving because the cost of living is too high in Massachusetts, and then they go in Connecticut and New Hampshire and vote.
Why would anybody leave Massachusetts? According to Bernie Sanders, it's like the best state ever because everybody has health care.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and to me, then it's like, okay, then why didn't the entire country try to move there?
Yeah.
Like, if you're one of these people, and this sounds heartless, but it's true, that has these pre-existing conditions that you can't get coverage for, move to Massachusetts. If your life is on the line, I don't think that's that too much to ask.
It's not that hard
instead of making us foot the bill. Right.
How many times have you moved? How many states have you lived in?
Just 2.
Oh.
I think. Well, I mean, I live in New Jersey in the summer, but that doesn't really count as moving. So I've lived in Pennsylvania and Oregon. So I moved across the country.
It's not that hard.
No, I mean, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but it's doable. People do it all the time.
But if you got a debilitating case of scurvy,
right, I would be in Boston tomorrow
with a bag of oranges.
Yeah, get me on that ObamaCare. That's so great.
Oh, God. What else do you want to talk about?
But speaking of the healthcare thing, and you were saying they're caving, I think Rand Paul's thrown down the gauntlet on this one. He apparently walked out of a meeting, I believe, with Paul Ryan. Mm-hmm. Was the headline? Was that what it was? That he walked out? Yeah. Rand Paul walks out. And because they want to do the slow withdrawal and all this crap. And so Rand has really stepped it up and just said, look, I have a bill. And I believe it's a bill that they had already gotten through in 2015.
When they knew there was no chance in hell of it getting by President Obama.
Right.
But now that they have their fingerprints on it. This, to me, just confirms the suspicions that we've had for several years. The leadership on Capitol Hill on the Republican side is terrible.
Yeah.
There is no leadership.
Awful. Mm-hmm.
I expected more out of Paul Ryan and got... I shouldn't say I expected more. I hoped for more out of Paul Ryan, but got exactly deep down what I expected. And Mitch McConnell is a complete joke. Can you imagine if situations were reversed and these were Democrats?
Yes.
Go back.
It would have been done already.
Yeah. The Harry Reid, Nancy Pelosi, Democratic leadership. Back then, they would have already had the bill passed.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But
nope.
The mumbling turtle from Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, can't get the votes lined up. He should pull Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins in a room and beat them with reeds.
With Harry Reid's exercise bands?
Yes.
Is that what you meant?
Yes. It's absolutely outrageous that you're seeing, they're even floating trial balloons. It won't even happen until 2018. I read one piece. It's like, oh my God. So you want to lose. Well, you really want to be in the minority.
Yeah. Well, with this, I think they're saying it'll take 2 years to fully come online because of the transition. But if there's movement, that'll at least save their asses from getting voted out next time around.
Will it?
I don't know. It depends on who stands in the way and who doesn't. I mean, they don't have all the details of Rand's bill out yet, but he's basically said, he's going to they're going to get rid of the Medicaid expansion. And that's why he walked out of that meeting with Ryan, because they like to keep that, of course. We can't do away with the Medicaid expansion. What are you people talking about? And then he said they wanted to include new tax, what the hell are they called? Whatever.
Medical savings accounts.
No, that's one of Rand's things. No, it was a new tax credit. And he's just like, oh, God, enough with this crap. And it's like, we got to be done. So he wants to do medical savings accounts, basically put the catastrophic plans back on the market, and then also allow people to form associations so you can pool risk better. So that's what he's saying. These people that have these pre-existing conditions can buy into a pool. So anybody that has any sizable, I don't know what they'll put the lower limit on as to the number of people that have to be in an association to be able to buy group plans. But that's the way you deal with this.
Yeah, and be able to buy insurance over state lines. Free market stuff.
That's amazing. Maybe we can just do away with insurance altogether and everybody just has damn catastrophic. So if you get in an accident or get really bad disease, it kicks in. But otherwise, you just pay cash.
Yeah.
And watch how fast the prices drop. And also get rid of the limitations on how many people can go to medical school every year.
Yeah, I didn't even know that existed. That's crazy.
Well, you have to wonder, why do things get so expensive, and then start thinking about the impediments that are put in the way of the market.
And this is what's disturbing about the Republicans. I'll say this for the Democrats. They may not like it, but plenty of Democrats have gone to Washington and voted for something knowing it could cost them their political career.
Yes.
You go back to, the gun bill during the Clinton administration, the assault weapons ban. That pretty much helped usher in the Republican Congress. Well, you had Democrats that voted for Obamacare knowing that that was probably going to cost them their seat. You had Democrats retire like Evan Bayh in Indiana because he basically ran away from his vote.
Mm-hmm.
And then tried to run again later, and he lost because people remember. People have Google. You can look this shit up. But Republicans don't have the guts. They need everyone on our side, or most people on our side, except for some of these Republicans that are like Susan Collins. So she's really not on our side, Lisa Murkowski. But I would think that people on the right would feel or should feel that the way to bring down healthcare costs is to bring in the free market.
Mm-hmm.
And you would think most people in that room would agree that they should, but they're too cowardly to do what they know or believe is right because they know that they'll pay a political price if they don't keep Medicare for or Medicaid for the Medicaid expansion. Mm-hmm. Or, the pre-existing condition stuff. They're worried that they're going to pay a political price in 2018. And because of that, it's going to hurt the country, and it's disgusting.
Yeah. It's just absolutely vile. And they don't seem to care about the deficit at all, yet again.
No, that doesn't matter.
No.
That's why I'm glad I don't call myself a Republican anymore.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be so much fun.
And what cracks me up is I've seen so many people that I know have left the Republican Party, not because of this crap that's been going on for years.
But because of Trump.
But because of Trump.
Yes.
Not because of people like Mitch McConnell.
No.
I mean, Paul Ryan should know better.
He should, but he doesn't.
They get that taste of power.
Something else going on. I don't know how he thinks this adds up to him in the White House someday. It's like, did you guys sleep through 2015 and 2016? You missed that whole thing where the guy that was yelling about how he's going to get rid of this stuff won big league. And he's still talking about it.
It just makes me sick that the people of Kentucky and the people of Arizona can't find someone else other than Mitch McConnell and John McCain in that state. That's the best you have?
It's really pathetic. Well, I'm excited for the 2018 Senate races to see if some other loudmouths decide to jump in.
Like?
I don't know. I don't know if Linda McMahon's going to leave because she's the head of the Small Business Administration now. But remember, she had run in Connecticut. And
it
lost.
Was a close race from what I remember. Uh-huh. But she spent a ton of her own money.
Yeah, well, that's what you do.
Yeah.
And who knows what PACs are going to come online between now and then, and if they're going to go find candidates in the Trumpian mold of I just don't give a fuck. I'm going to say whatever I want, and the media is going to scream, and I'm just going to keep saying it, and it will get to the people, and then they can decide if they like me or not. Mm-hmm. But forget this filtered garbage.
Well, we need to kick these people out. I found a story today. I don't know if you got a chance to read it, but going back to Susan Collins, she said that she will vote no when it comes to Scott Pruitt leading the EPA.
Yes.
This is from mainpublic.org. After careful consideration, Republican U.S. Senator Susan Collins of Maine says she will oppose the confirmation of Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt to lead the EPA. Now, this piece. It's pretty long, but she said, basically she says she would support him because he's a highly qualified individual. He's got an impressive resume for many other jobs in the Trump administration, but the fact that he has sued the EPA, in her mind, disqualifies him as a candidate. And to me, I think every Republican, most people on the right, when they saw his name and they saw his track record pushing back against the EPA, they were like, hallelujah.
Absolutely. It made me so damn happy. Like, yes, but this is a lefty talking point. He can't go to that agency. He sued them 14 times. Okay. I really, really want him there now.
Isn't it amazing? If we were talking about someone who was a watchdog pushing back against a corporation, that person would be hailed a hero. But you have someone who is pushing back against bureaucratic overreach at the EPA.
Yeah, the people that come and hassle you over puddles on your yard.
And that's a villain.
Of course. Well, imagine what they would say if somebody from Flint sued the EPA and then later was nominated to that position. Do you think we would hear these same kind of stories, or everybody would just be mum about it?
I think you know the answer to that. Did anyone ever get fired from poisoning that river in Colorado?
No. Of course not. Don't be silly. They probably got promoted.
That lefties would probably think that person who was responsible should be that person's more qualified to lead the EPA.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of their standard, right? Well, these people, when it comes to somebody like Tillerson or even Trump, they have no government experience. Betsy DeVos has never worked. Great. So she never poisoned a river in Colorado? Point for DeVos.
Yeah. Never led a failing public school in the state of Michigan. Wow, okay. Yeah, I really wish she had experience in the Detroit public schools.
Well, who did is the same guy that was the emergency manager that took over Flint when that all went down. So he poisoned the children of Flint and then went and destroyed the minds of the children in Detroit. That's how it works. If you can get a government job, I say hop on it.
Isn't it amazing that it takes poisoning an entire town before people will get arrested or lose their jobs? I'm like, well, you went a little bit too far with that lead poisoning, Jim. We're going to have to relieve you of your duties. If
you can just go run the schools.
Yeah.
I do have a vacancy over in the education sector.
Oh, my God. I mean, we've seen this, for years we've been in the movement. We've seen people, it's amazing, in Washington who aren't government employees, but it's just the whole Washington mindset. They get fired up.
Yes.
They lose their jobs at some think tank, and then like a week later, they got a better gig. It's higher paying. And that person, you've known them for years, and they've been completely incompetent, and you think to yourself, who did this person blow to get that job originally? And they get fired, obviously, due to the fact that they're incompetent, and then you're like, okay, fine, well, good, it all worked out, and then next week, they got a better job somewhere else.
Oh.
And you realize you're in the wrong business.
Yes.
I should have gone to school in some field that would have gotten me a job at the EPA.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be.
I mean, I wonder how long you have to work at the EPA before you can collect a government pension. 10 years?
That's a good question. I don't know.
I mean, you the only way you can lose your job at the EPA is if you physically poison people.
Mm-hmm. That might change soon.
We'll see. Not if Susan Collins has anything to say about it.
Well, didn't she also vote against DeVos?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got to wonder who's putting pressure on her.
Well, it came out during the whole DeVos thing that Susan Collins received a hefty donation from
The
the
teachers
NEA.
union.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I'm wondering if the Sierra Club is cutting her checks, and what's Steyer's, the big green lefty that has billions. Well, I don't know if she's up in 2018. I feel like one of those two morons from... No, that's right. Olympia Snow retired. So they have some independent main senator. So I think Collins might be up in 2018, and LePage, their governor, who's very Trumpian, is considering running.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Lisa Murkowski just won, didn't she?
I don't think she did. I feel like she beat Joe Miller in... That might have been 2010. You might be right. So then she would have run again. I don't know. These are things we should probably look up before we decide to talk about them. Who can remember what senator was elected when? But I would love to see LePage in the Senate. He would bust old Mitchie right out of there and just take it over and rant and rave, call people all sorts of bitches on the Senate floor. He's the most entertaining governor in the country, and he very rarely gets covered except by the far left. I think he was one of the first out to support Trump, too. So that would be fun. These are the kind of people I'm talking about 2018. Getting exciting. And I would love to see big mouth like Mark Cuban try to run.
Oh, that'd be great.
See how far he gets.
He'd run in Texas.
I would think so.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless he's got some sort of... Like if... but the basketball season... the basketball season... The NBA, I think it's like 13 months long, isn't it, a year?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, really, it's ridiculous. It's like the NBA championship happens and then preseason starts like 2 weeks later.
Well, it's not as physical as the other sports, except baseball, but that's pretty long season too.
Yeah. But, so I would think if he's an involved owner. He's not one of these guys that just kind of hangs out on the weekends and, if there's a home game in Dallas. So I would think...
You don't think he'd give that up to go stick it to the man?
Oh, no, I do. I just think that, I would think that his full-time residence would be in Texas.
Probably. Well, also for tax purposes.
Oh, yeah. I did see a lot of people jumping up and down because it looks like Tim Kaine is going to have... what's her name? She ran for president in 2016.
Carly Fiorina.
Carly Fiorina running against him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how many times does this woman want to set herself up for a loss?
She might be able to beat Nicholson, though. You never know.
You think?
Yeah.
I want to like her.
He's terrible. And Virginia almost went to Trump.
Yeah, what do you end up losing by, like 30,000 votes or something?
Yeah, all the ones that voted for McMuffin. Who's still trying to be a thing. Just so embarrassing.
Yeah, that guy really needs to shut up. And he won't shut up.
No. And people keep encouraging him. I mean, they'll have him on TV every day if he wants to be there.
What's the end game there? I mean, Orrin Hatch is actually flirting with the idea of running again.
Oh, my God.
And Orrin Hatch, if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking it up right now. I believe he's 162 years old.
Yes.
Orrin Hatch is 82.
Oh, my God.
And I believe his seat... I believe he's up for re-election in 2018.
Okay.
So you're talking, okay, he's going to be 83 here in a few weeks. So
he'll be 84.
84 running for re-election for another 6-year term.
God.
In Utah.
Why can't these people give this up? Is it really that much fun?
It must be the idea of being able to walk into a restaurant in Washington and have people go, oh my God, it's Orrin Hatch. Oh, it's Orrin Hatch. It's Orrin Hatch.
But that would still happen even if he wasn't a senator.
Would it?
Sure. Well, it's not like his face changes or something.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't have any power. He can't help anybody anymore.
Sure he can. You think that they lose their friends on the Hill when they leave? Just walk right over to K Street.
God. With a walker?
Are you kidding? He's got a rascal.
But it's amazing. A lot of these guys, Orrin Hatch, he doesn't look 82.
No.
I mean, John McCain, he's what? He's 96.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks. His mother, I think, is still alive. She's like 172.
Yep.
I mean, these guys that have been in politics for years, they hang on. I mean, when they wheeled George H.W. Bush out for the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, that was painful.
Yeah, he was what? He was just in the hospital 2 weeks
He looked like
prior.
Terry Schiavo.
Yeah. It looked like he looked like FDR in his current condition. He had his chin out. He just needed the cigarette with the cigarette holder as they're wheeling him out. And I think to myself, my God, these guys, I almost feel like they're scared to die because of all the shit they've done, all the people they've had killed. So they know, like, if they believe that they're going to be judged in the afterlife, they like hang on. I mean, Nixon, what was he? He was like 100 years old when he died. Ford, same thing. All these guys. Bill Clinton, for Christ's sake, he already looks like he's 95 years old.
Yeah.
And he's only in his 70s.
Early 70s.
Yeah, early. Orrin Hatch looks better than Bill Clinton.
Absolutely. Well, maybe they're all popping like HGH and who knows what kind of experimental shit the FDA hasn't shared with us.
My prepper friend at work, he believes they get the real medicine.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't they?
I believe he said, yeah, they get that interferon. I believe he told me the other day. I was like, oh, okay. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
But he's got some theories.
He should start a YouTube channel.
Right, he should.
Yeah.
There's a tunnel that aliens built.
Okay.
This is what he told me. There's a tunnel that aliens built, and you can get from L.A. to Washington, D.C. in 90 minutes.
Why would the aliens want that?
Well, I don't know if it's the crab people that the aliens wanted to travel from one side of the continent to the other, but couldn't, be in our atmosphere or something. I don't know. It's all underground.
Has to be done subterraneously. No.
Yeah.
Interesting. You didn't think to ask that question? What's the usage of this tunnel?
My head just kind of tilted to the side as I was listening to all of it, and I didn't know how deep I wanted to get into the conversation.
Oh, see, I love interfacing with people like that. Tell me more. What are they doing in that tunnel right now? Where's the entrance? Can we go check it out?
Well, only the elites. Do we know any elites? Because they have access to this tunnel.
Well, we do now.
That's true. I may run into one or two of them at CPAC. I'll ask them about the other underground tunnel.
Please record it.
And I'm sure I will be escorted out of the building.
Yep. And then your kids will get taken away and we can yell about, they separated him from his family. Just wanted to know about the alien tunnel.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? We went in that whole, well, at least I did, a couple of years back when the Massachusetts Child Protective Services took that girl away from her family, because they got a doctor to sign off that saying that the treatment that the family was getting for her medical condition was wasn't sufficient, and it wasn't a physical ailment she had, it was a mental ailment, and they took her all off her medication and they wouldn't let her see her family, and there was no real uproar about it except from people on the right saying, holy crap, they just took this family's daughter away from them because of a difference in medical opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's the same
cool.
with like that there was the woman, I can't remember what state she was in, but her kids, I believe, were taken from her briefly because she let them walk home from a park by themselves.
Yes.
I mean, Child Protective Services is no joke, and they're pulling families apart all the time over silly nonsense, but you don't hear that same, we can't separate the family.
Yeah, I believe there was a just last week, a single mom with 4 kids. Her kids were taken away from her, I believe it was Buffalo, because she was homeschooling.
Yes. Yeah. And she didn't do something correct because of the custody issue or something like this. She hadn't gotten her ex to sign off on her homeschooling the children so that they were truants now. And guess what? Your kid's taken by the state.
Instead of handling this reasonably and saying, listen, you have to understand the other parent has to sign off on this. So for the time being, please have your kids report to school until you straighten it out. No, we got to yank these kids out of this woman's house.
Yeah. Common sense goes right out the window, and human decency.
Did they ever think about the single mother and how this would affect her on International Women's Day?
I don't think that they did.
No, they didn't. Damn the patriarchy.
Oh, man. Everything is so fucked.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you want to talk about anything else, or should we wrap this up?
I think we should put it to bed.
Okay, that's a good idea. It's getting late. Where can everyone find the Enough Already podcast?
You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. And then you can visit us on Facebook and at EnoughAlreadyPodcast.com.
Follow me on Twitter at FingersMalloy. Follow Tracy on Twitter at Tracy L. Connors. Music for the Enough Already podcast is provided to us courtesy of YoPollyMusic.com. Once again, thank you all for listening. Thank you for sharing the podcast with your friends. If you hate the podcast, of course, share it with someone you hate. And please go to iTunes, leave us a review, preferably a 5-star review, but do us a solid, please, and leave us a review. Over at iTunes, next week is going to be an interesting week for us because I'm going to be traveling when we normally record, and I am going to be on Radio Row at CPAC. So I don't know. The podcast may be a little late next week. We may have some guests. We may not. We haven't really talked about this. So
yep.
We'll talk about that off the air. But the show may be a little late next week. So that's giving you just a little heads up on that. But thank you so much for listening. Tracy, final thoughts?
Nah.
Exactly. Nope. Thanks for listening.
Enough already, fingers.
Right.
Shut up.
All right, we'll be back next week with an all-new Enough Already podcast.